the intro. We're going in the air. Here we go, baby.
Welcome to Happy Hour with Anxiety Gal and Holly.
Hello.
We are back in our regular studio.
We are.
After being in Las Vegas for last week's show.
Yeah, it was good. We had a great time. Welcome, everyone. Get your cup of coffee. Get this thing rolling.
Happy Hour time. How was your weekend, Holly?
My weekend. Well, I did get a mammogram, by the way. I said I would do it.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I did it. And by the way, it was not that bad. It was a little uncomfortable, but I was really expecting much more pain. And she literally scooped the jugs up, laid them on the glass, pressed them down, took a few pictures. And so anyway, I'm proud of myself. I got it done. And I looked at the pictures because I had to see what was in there. I didn't see anything, so I think I'm good. And then, of course, I think most people know, I was on ESPN radio Saturday morning, got up at 5:30 in the morning because I had to be on the air by 6:20, and I was preparing, getting ready. And the subject was how do you be a supportive wife when your husband's other woman is a white ball with dimples. My husband's a golfer. Anyway, so I was doing great, you guys, and I was having so much fun, and I was able to plug the show, and I was giving advice, just embrace your golf, men and women. Stop fighting with them about it. There's nothing you can do. If golf is in their life, they're going to golf. So anyway, I was doing really well, but then right in the end, I cussed and they dumped me. And so I was sitting there on the phone. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I just got cut off. So I called back, and the guy in the control room, it's, the South, and he's like, you weren't cut off, you cussed. So I was like, I did? He goes, it's all right. People do it all the time. I go, really? Guests do it? He goes, no, not guests, but people who call in. I was like, great. So anyway, that went well.
That's so exciting, and we have got to get the archive of that so we can link it off of the Happy Hour website, because I would just,
it's
funny.
I think
that's awesome.
It's very funny too, because they actually had a professional golfer's wife on, and I think his name is Simpson or something. I can't remember.
OJ?
No. Anyway, he makes like $20 million a year, so she's a real golf wife, right? And I was just going on being me and saying crazy stuff. Like I was saying, the only thing I can give Joey that equates to what golf gives him is a great roll in the hay, and half the time I'm too tired for that. Anyway, so they were saying she was coming on the air, and I was like, my God, what must it be like for her? I mean, that's all he does. They're like, well, she's got a huge paycheck in the end. I'm like, honey bun, when you're sitting around the house and your husband's gone, it doesn't matter. You still miss them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, does she have children? They're like, yeah. I go, oh. And then you're with a bunch of nut job kids running around, So I'm going on and on. Well, then she gets on, okay? And these people go to like PR schools.
Yeah, I didn't hear you talk about her.
Yes, and she was like, and they're like, hey, how are you, Miss Simpson or whatever? She's like, oh, lovely. And they're like, so how has it been since you've on the trip? Well, we're just sitting around barbecuing with our children, and we have a lovely 18-month-old, and she must have said, I don't know how many times, probably like, I don't know who was on before me, but my child is not a nut job. Anyway, she was so appropriate and so professional. I was like, oh, good golly. But I think my segment was a little more interesting, and it's another story I can live to tell, that my first appearance on a national, large, syndicated show, I got dumped for saying the word shit.
I think it's great. I mean,
it went good.
You put yourself out there, and I'm so proud of you. That's so exciting.
How was your weekend? What did you do?
Well, let's see. Where do I start?
Somewhere funny.
I'll start somewhere fun. Well, a lovely new friend invited us over for a play date, which was really neither play nor date. It was like hell. No. Anyway, so we made it through, which is what my blog was about.
Yeah, the blog. Holy cow!
It was just the way to cap off a very anxiety-ridden couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? Lovely, lovely people. And this is hilarious. She was telling me that she and her husband changed their guest room into an office so that their in-laws wouldn't visit as often. His parents.
I love that.
Because her mother-in-law would go in her kitchen and say to her, how can you find anything here? I'm going to fix it for you. And rearrange all of her cabinets, everything in the cabinets.
Tell them what she also would send them.
Oh, well, they get a grocery list of the specific products that they need to have for them in the house. And it's the brand, it's the exact item that they have to have for breakfast every day, for snacks.
Can you imagine that, folks? For 2 seconds, your in-laws sending you a grocery list. Now,
anyone's sending you a grocery
yes.
list to stay with you. I mean, unless they're like, I don't know, have
the
something
Queen Elizabeth?
Extreme, and you ask.
The president?
Or you ask. You
yes.
know, look, I know that you're diabetic.
I always try to
whatever.
have food. I always try to have the food in the house that I know my in-laws eat at their house.
I know. I remember when you were buying the Monterey Jack cheese.
No.
Cheez-It.
Oh, yeah, certain cheeses my mother-in-law likes. But that's just because you want people to be comfortable
right.
in your home.
Right.
And not everybody eats, organic blue chips.
To you.
So, yeah, but she
anyway.
never sends me a list. Then I would be offended. That is so, but it's so funny.
It was just a funny story. And they're
Yeah.
just the nicest people. And my children were little banshees. And their home is beautiful. And it's so clean. And they're calm. Their 2 children are like completely calm and sweet. And mine are all over the place. So we made it through that. And then because I was anxious, so something I do is I just clean the house like a crazy woman, and it needed it anyway. So I almost broke my finger cleaning a, I don't know if you noticed this wall sconce thing. I was dusting it.
Yeah.
And my mind was somewhere else. And my finger caught on one of the wrought iron spindles, and it fell.
Oh, no.
And it was heavy, it has wood on it. And it caught on my finger.
And it nearly busted it off.
I don't know. It hurt a little bit. It's just kind of purple now. And it's lost some feeling. But it's going to be fine.
Excellent.
And then there was lots of things to clean up. Anyway, glamour.
We live a glamorous life.
That's why I'm anxiety gal.
Yeah, it's a lot of anxiety in that. But you made it through.
You know what we always do.
She invited you back. So
She
it's not
did.
as bad as you think. Listen,
Not as
mommies, we're all anxious, and the play dates do not go well.
Right.
Usually, because they're small people. They don't get it.
Well, and the anxiety builds things out of proportion in my mind.
Yes.
I mean,
because I'm sure
it was because I was already on an anxiety
path going there.
trip.
Yeah.
So to me, it was intensified, and
Right.
getting that from her, I was like, oh, you know what? I just
Yeah.
need to calm down, which is
Just
so
settle down. But listen,
my mother would
she
say,
invited her back.
She did.
So it's just the lesson here is they don't go as bad as you think. And plus, all of us have children, so we understand when the child's misbehaving because our child's
Right.
next. So,
Well,
and your blog, by the way, you need to read her blog to understand the anxiety this woman deals with. Because I talk about having anxiety, but I've got, like several more years on her, so I've dealt with it a little bit over the years. But the anxiety this woman deals with, it's honestly, let me finish. It's inspiring it's inspiring because you don't realize what she's carrying around in there. And so I think anybody who has anxiety needs to go read it because you will be in awe that she sits here looking like that, smiling, and as poised as she is. So I think you should go see it. Go read it.
Dear, that was kind. But I was going to say, I'm controlling my anxiety now. So what you read is like me mellowed out.
I don't understand that for a second, but okay.
Just saying.
Woo!
I'm just saying. Oh,
All right.
You know what I forgot to mention?
What?
We are sponsored by 360 Business Consulting.
We are. They're
So
paying us
if you
money.
need anything technology
Yeah.
or marketing oriented, that's where you should go because
Yeah.
then they'll have to pay us more if you go link from our website over to them.
Now, what do they do again?
They do marketing and technology consulting.
There we go. Perfect. All right.
So,
And the link
there you go.
in the Mad Mimi newsletter, it's on there and on our website.
That's
so
right. So read the newsletter and click on things.
click on
Thank
things.
you.
Do clicky things. All right.
So today we are talking about the many sides of beauty, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep. Yeah.
So it can be very ugly.
Yeah, for me,
It can be ugly.
We talked about this subject and why we wanted to do this subject and what it meant to us. And I was thinking for me, when I was very young, not very young, all the way through my 20s actually, I never felt pretty or beautiful or attractive, in part because there were no redheaded models, and there were certainly no models with freckles. I could not stand my freckles. You know, I've got kind of like the hips, and I never had beautiful toned legs. I was just never thought of myself as very pretty. And it was only until I started getting into my, you know, later years that I started to worry less about the exterior and more about the interior beauty. Like, so the exterior beauty, I accepted, you know, I mean, I started bleaching at I think like 25, I started bleaching the freckles, and I started doing things to change some of how I look, but, you know, overall, I accepted it. And, but the inner beauty is what started to become more important. Who was I? How did I treat people? Was I doing good in this world? You know, that's in part why I started doing charities and doing things that I was passionate about, but it helped others, rescuing animals. And so the inner beauty now is what I focus on. Now, don't get me wrong. If I get 60, 90,000 mile checkups done on the car and all the maintenance and rotate the tires, there will be some rotating of some tires here. I'm hoping to rotate some of them up. I'm probably going to get a little pullback.
What?
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
Like,
listen, don't say anything. It doesn't matter what anyone says. Halls will do this. I'm probably going to do a little. In fact, I was at a party with a plastic surgeon, and he pulled me in the bathroom, and he said to me, by the way, not very good lighting, I want to tell you. And he said to me, listen to me. You are beautiful from here down. And he took his hands from my cheeks and went down.
Now, did
he said, but from here,
or something?
He said, but from here up, here's what I suggest. And he started making little lines on my face where he would cut. Now keep in mind, it was 2 in the morning and we were all trashed.
In his pocket or something?
Well, it gets better. He handed me his business card. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, by the way. He handed me his business card and says, I have an appointment for you on Friday. Swear to God. I was like, all right. And basically he was going to give me an eyebrow lift. And everyone's like, are you going? I said, absolutely not. What if it's not free? And he hands me a $10,000 bill. Plus, I am not cutting on my face yet. But my point is, the internal for me is now my focus. It really is. The external, there's just going to be some, you know, rotating of the tires. But that, you know, I just think beauty is very complex. And I don't know. What do you think? What does it mean for you?
Know, when you were talking about it, I think my experience is very similar. I was always very upset that I'm short. I really hated that, and it's only recently that I've kind of gotten okay with it. And I was never. Which helps, and I like him. Someday I'll make a podiatrist very wealthy, but for now I'm enjoying my shoes. So I was deaf. I mean, I grew up the youngest of 4, and 2 older sisters who were both very beautiful. So I grew up feeling like I was the ugly duckling, and my sisters are beautiful and very thin, and I wasn't. Which now I think probably it saved me a lot of heartache from being too cute, you know, like, because boys weren't really that interested in me because I was kind of chubby and I wasn't that cute. But I focused on achieving. I was not the prettiest and I knew it, but I could achieve, I could win. And so that's what I did. I focused on getting good grades, and I had to get straight A's. I mean, if I got a B, talk about anxiety of my children destroying someone's house. I'm not kidding. It was thermonuclear meltdown. And it was not my parents at all. They didn't, I just did it. But it was that insecurity of feeling like I just wasn't pretty. And I think that I accepted that. I just thought, I'm never going to be pretty. And so, but it definitely took a toll on my self-confidence. And I didn't really do much about it until I had to for my anxiety. That's when I started running and I got into better shape and Zumba. But no, it's ugly. If I could have changed a lot of things, I would have. Yeah. But
well, we've got a fabulous guest on the line.
We do. I'm very excited to meet her. You know her well.
Yes, Stila Schultz is. She is a woman who has been in the beauty industry over 20 years. She has traveled around the world teaching other people how to cut hair, do color, be a beauty expert. She's a master stylist. She's no nonsense, let me tell you. She bosses me around in the chair. She's always telling me, sit on your hands, stop touching your hair. She's creative, she's gutsy. If you go in there and you want a bob, you'll get a bob. But if you go in there and say, honey, let's do it, let's have some fun with this shit. Oh my gosh, darn it.
It's all right.
I'm trying. Where's the cussing jar? If you say you want to have a little fun, she will have some fun with you. She is very creative and she is not afraid. She does work locally at a place called Studio C in Irvine, California. She is a remarkable stylist and a great friend. We have a long history together. I have been going to Dee since my early 20s, so almost, 20 years? No, not 20 years. It couldn't be. Yeah. I don't know, Dee. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a long time. She has seen me through multiple divorces, and in fact, I talked about on the blog how I was committed for a couple of days because I had a little breakdown. I was in her chair in Westminster when I was starting at the very beginning of the breakdown, and I sat there for however long it took her to do my hair, and I just cried and cried and cried. I couldn't I was just completely, it was starting, and I was with Dee, and she just kept saying, honey, are you okay? Are you okay? And the very next time I saw her, she's like, what was happening? I told her what happened, and I just think we have forever been bonded because of that together, you know. But anyway, she has a very unique perspective on beauty, because think about it. For over 20 years, she has sat behind women of all makes and models, and she has been able to see into their soul and get to know them and understand what beauty or their perceived beauty has been for them. So anyway, Dee.
Hi, Dee. Welcome to Happy Hour.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm very, very good. In fact, hearing you describe me, I think I'm better.
Really? You didn't know that about yourself?
Not really, but when do we ever know anything about ourselves? That's why we're here.
Oh, and by the way, Dee is stunning, and a lot of people say I look like her. Don't they, Dee? Haven't people said that?
I think you should be insulted because I'm so much older than you.
Well, Dee, what fascinates me is that Holly says you boss her around. I think that says volumes about you right there.
I don't actually boss, do I really boss? Well, I guess I do.
Good for you.
It's just my personality, I'm afraid. And she's easy to boss around because she takes it so well.
Yes, this is
really
true. Yes, I do. I tell you.
You take it very well. Then you hand it right back, so I guess we're even there.
This is true.
That's the truth.
Okay, Dee.
You started out as my bartender, so we've got a lot of things in common here.
I forgot about that.
Is that how you met?
You know what? She used to, you used to work in the salon below in South Coast Plaza. She used to work at Carlton. I worked at Vera Paredes. And this is how it started, is I was trying to grow my hair out very long, and she had for a long time been telling me I need to get it cut. And I remember one day I was like, no, I want to grow it out long and have really long hair. And she said, now you probably look good with long hair, but does your hair look good long? I was like, holy, I don't know.
That's profound.
Because I have thin hair, and she was right. It didn't look good. So anyway, I went down, I think the very next week, and cut it, came back upstairs to the bar, and everybody was like, oh my God. And that was the start of my short hair and of our relationship. You're absolutely right. So Dee.
I loved it. I had such a good time with you. I got to cut it, I got to color it, I get to play with it. I get to have so much fun with it.
Dee, I need to come see you.
She's talking about my hair now.
I need to come see you, and I hope you're not watching the video right now.
So Dee, tell us what...
I'm watching you. I'm watching you as we speak.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
On what?
Well, we're not speaking at this time. You're drinking coffee right now. You're looking at the camera. You're sitting there. You look a little gay.
Oh, she's seeing the pictures.
Oh, she's
the pictures on the internet.
You're fantastic.
Oh,
so Dee, tell us, what is your perspective? What is your perspective on beauty? Your unique perspective. What do you have to tell us that we're going to learn from today?
What I need to tell everybody is the same soapbox I stand on when I'm standing behind the chair doing your hair. And if you ever sit there, you'll know that the best way to be beautiful is to find your own. The thing that makes us more beautiful than the next person is what makes us different from the next person. to look like someone or try to look like someone is only going to make you look like a caricature of someone else. Find your own. Everybody's got their own unique beauty. And that's the best way to be the most gorgeous person on the planet.
So, but Dee, how do you know what that is? I think that that's the biggest challenge with a lot of us is we don't know what our own beauty is. How do you find that?
I think women lie to themselves. I think women are told from the get-go, for some reason, we get the perspective that we have to play down our beauty. It's snobby of us to say that we're beautiful. So what we do, instead of looking at what's beautiful, we look at what's not perfect.
Oh, so
That's our biggest downfall, is not looking and seeing this beautiful light shining through our own eyes, because we're not supposed to see that in ourselves. We're supposed to be shy and retiring and say no, please don't compliment me, even though we deserve it. And what we do at that point is look at pictures of other people, movie stars, photoshopped,
Right.
airbrushed, whatever, and say that's beautiful, and then we look at ourselves and say we're not. I think that's horrific. It's our unique perspective and our unique look, our unique way of looking that makes us so beautiful. And that is what we need to concentrate on. It's not what looks like someone else, but what looks unlike someone else.
So do you have people come in, Dee, who do the whole, can you make my hair look like Jennifer Aniston?
Absolutely, all day long, every day.
And it drives you crazy. That has to drive you crazy.
Well, it does when they want to be exactly like that. I want exactly this. But to be really honest, most women know that what they look like, and they use that as an example. This is what I want my hair to look like. And these are most women. I do have to say that, women are doing a lot better than they used to as far as being secure about themselves, especially because my clientele has grown with me.
Yeah.
And so we've all aged together. And honey, I've been in this business for 30 years.
Oh, 30. See, look. So I have been, let's see, I went to you in my...
I started when I was 9.
Now, you know what, Dee? You know what I always find really disturbing is someone like, what was her name? The blonde who cut all her hair off. Who was that? What was her name? The little pop star.
Oh, Britney Spears.
Yes, when she was going through all that stuff and having, what appeared to be a nervous breakdown, she shaved her hair, her head. And I know that there have been times when I've come into you and I've been in some crisis and I'm like, cut it off. Do something drastic to it. Why is that? Why do we do that?
Attention. We want people to look at us and say, look at me, I'm more than this. And it's a desperate kind of cry out for help.
Okay.
Look at me. Don't look at this. Look at me. It's pure frustration. I'm not a psychologist. I probably shouldn't be saying this at all.
No.
But in my experience, it's a way for us to say, I'm not happy with me here now. Look at me like this.
Right.
Wow.
It's a cry for help in a sense. Something like, well, that drastic of cutting the hair like that
Yes.
is somebody who's saying, when they shave their head like that, somebody who's saying, I need some help.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I just wonder why we go after the hair. I've always wondered what it is about that makes us somehow feel relief.
I don't know. Well, it's a
sometimes
real
I
security
feel-
blanket for some people. Also,
Yeah.
their hair. Women,
It's totally a security.
friends of mine who have gone through, cancer therapy, and almost all their hair is gone, yet they will not shave off.
The rest.
Like the little bottom part that's still there. And I wonder, why don't they just shave it all off to start over?
Well, what I would like to see them do, and I've dealt with women who've gone both ways on this. As soon as their hair starts to fall out, they're going to shave it off. That's with the way they handle it. Let's just get this over with so I can see what's going on here. That's, I hope that would be my venue should I not ever have to go through that.
Yeah.
That there's other women that are just so trying hard to hold on to what they were. And that's what their security is. And I so sympathize with them. I obviously can't empathize, but I can sympathize. And what most of them do is when they finally do get their hair back after all of that cancer therapy, what they almost always do is let it grow to the point where they never want to cut it again. Women in their 50s will grow their hair down to their waist,
Right.
just so they have it back again. It is our most important accessory. It's what when you describe somebody, it's the redhead or
Right.
it's the blonde over there,
Yeah.
the one with the short hair. It's our most important accessory. It's our identifying beauty mark, so to speak. That's why it's so important, and it's important that women be attractive.
Yeah.
Not only, for themselves, but for their husbands, for their significant others.
Yeah.
And that's important to them too. Then the hard part for me is when you got the husband telling the wife what he wants her to look like.
Oh. Do you have that very often, Dee?
Again, because my clientele is growing older with me, the men are kind of getting a little bit out of it. They're more like, whatever makes you happy, just I don't want to hear about it anymore, please. But the younger ones, what astonishes me, the difference between men and women, is when women pick a mate, they pick a mate that has potential. This guy is going to be wonderful. This guy has everything basically I want. I can help him grow into somebody perfect for me. When men pick a mate, they pick somebody they want never, ever to change.
Oh, yes.
That's interesting.
That's it. That's the person that they've fallen in love with. Some of them take it to the extent where that also includes the way they dress and the way they wear their hair. The big irony of that for me is women have always been so much more adaptable than men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember when you...
We realize, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, honey.
When we change because, we've got this, we feel different. We feel differently about ourselves. We change our clothes. We change our shoes. We get different cars. Why shouldn't we change our hair to go with everything else?
Well, the emotional attachment to the hair is something, I really didn't think about until we were preparing for this show. I was thinking about the people who, like Britney Spears, that it's a form of self-mutilation if you go after it that way, right? Like you said, look at me, and we go after our hair as a way to mutilate ourselves in a way.
Hair is so temporary, though. Everything is
Right.
temporal.
Right.
Unless you really damage your scalp, do something like that. Your hair is always going to grow. It's a temporary thing, and I think on an intellectual level, we're all aware of that.
Yeah.
So it may be self-mutilation, but it's not like going and getting a massive tattoo.
Right. Or cutting or something
all over your
ridiculous.
face or something like that.
Well, but
It's a temporary thing, so I think it's maybe like that, but on not such a permanent.
Right. Right. Well, Dee, after your last comment about men wanting women to change, I feel so great because I met my husband after I got a bad haircut, and I looked like Scott Baio, and he was still attracted to me. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good that it can't get any worse than that.
that is perfect.
And he still decided to love me, and I was looking like
love
Scott
that.
Baio.
That is so great.
So
That's good. But Dee, the first time you cut my hair really short, I had come out from North Carolina and you did my hair, and it was shorter than what people were used to in North Carolina. And I went to work, and the guys in the plants, that I worked with, 3 of them asked me, does your husband know? Did your husband know? What did your husband say? Your husband let you cut your hair like that? And of course, in my most gentle way, I said, it doesn't matter what my husband thinks about my hair. Now, Joey loves my hair short. He loves it because he thinks it's sassy and it's who I am. But I found that line of questioning to be so ridiculous and shocking. But those men truly were like, does your husband know? Holy cow, he let you do that? So I can't even imagine what you see in your chair. Is there is there one crazy story or example of something you've seen in your chair that you just go, wow, now this is crazy?
Thanks. Gosh, there's so many crazy.
there's so many crazies out there.
Good Lord. Well, there's always the bring me a picture picture of somebody that looks completely opposite of you. I mean, you've got 3 hairs on your head, and they've got a picture of, you know, all this massive hair, like Angelina Jolie, you know, such a big hair. And people come to me and they've got, you know, frog fur on their heads, and they don't look like this. Well, hell, so do I. You know?
Frog fur.
It's always crazy when they want something so against what they can possibly have, and I have to try to explain it to them in the most simple way possible that I would have to be a magician to do this. And that's where the jokes come from. I'm a musician, not a magician. The crazy things are exactly, they will bring me a picture of themselves 20 to 30 years ago and say, I want to look like this again. Can you make my hair look like this? And of course I can make the hair look like that, but there surely is not going to look like that ever again in their life.
Right.
Well, how do they take it,
That's the
Dee?
crazy making part.
Dee, how do they take it when you explain to them that it ain't going to happen?
Well, I'm probably not as succinct with them as I am being with you right now. You just have to be very gentle about it. Say, honey, you know, you changed your clothes, and like I said before, you really can't go backwards like this.
Good
It's
for
just
you.
a classic.
Right.
Yeah.
You can kind of bob it and put a little modern line to it, but what I try to explain to them is when you get caught in a style,
Yeah.
age yourself.
Yes.
You timestamp yourself. Like, this is what I would have you. And if it's a style that's 1970,
Yeah.
we're talking about 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
But
great.
When you timestamp yourself, you're actually saying somebody that if they had a modern hairstyle would look 10 years younger is now looking 40 years their age.
Wow.
If you have a modern hairstyle, you can take time off. If you try to go back to something old, you say, this is where I was in 1975.
Oh.
Wow. Well,
You don't have to look like you were alive in 1975. Do it right.
well, Dee, do you have room in your chair for one more crazy person? I would love to
I
come
have.
see you.
Plenty of room in my chair for at least one more crazy.
All right.
All right, Dee, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. You've been fantastic. Good laughs, a lot of good information. And everybody, the information about Dee and where you can find her is on our website under the show page. She's at Studio C in Irvine, California. It is a beautiful salon, and there's Starbucks and pizza places and lots of places right next to it to have a great lunch after you've had your hair. And in the parking lot across the street is a fabulous